right, everyone, welcome back to a special episode of I Can Do This All Day. Happy Halloween, and we are here to celebrate. We're going to be talking about our top 3 Halloween movies, along with a special treat for you all, because there's going to be a draft. So a few episodes back, I guess a lot of episodes back, we did a movie Marvel draft. Today, it is the draft of the candy, and we'll see whose team will reign supreme. But Mark, why don't you fire us up a little bit for today's episode?
Halloween has been a long and arduous tradition for many people who either like or don't like scary movies, but there's always been some level of cinema involved, at least in my life, right? Like you'd still go out trick-or-treating, you do whatever, and at some age you go from watching the funny scary to the let's see if I can not sleep tonight scary. And no better place provided these for you than the now defunct Hollywood Video. But through the years, I think that I've seen not all, actually not a lot, but many varied Halloween movies. And I'm just kind of excited to talk through your favorite and my favorite, the ones that we can't stand or the one that may be the worst. And I mean, I'm not allowed to lose a candy draft, right? Big Cat can't lose candy draft. Not allowed. Not allowed.
It's going to be a fun episode today. I was pretty excited about this one, and I'm curious, just like the gangster movie episode, what do you consider a Halloween movie? Obviously, if Halloween is the title or in the title, sure, it's a Halloween movie, right? I mean, that's pretty fair to say.
Yeah, no, if there's kids trick-or-treating in the movie, it's a Halloween movie. But I have a very loose interpretation of a Halloween movie because for me, it is the one occasion of the year where you're kind of obligated to try and scare yourself or creep yourself out. So that to me makes the just the whole gamut of suspense, horror, mystery. They all kind of fit in, and we'll have an obvious arguments, and I'm sure that the hypocrisy will be strong as we move from movie to movie through this. But I think that the list is long but distinguished.
One of my picks is definitely not a Halloween calendar type of movie, but it does fall into that category of, kind of creeping yourself out, getting scared a little bit. And I'm going to fire out my first pick, my number 3 pick. It's really in no particular order. I think I'm just going to go with my top 3 overall. But the first one I want to talk about is, I want to say it was released around Valentine's Day in 2002, maybe 2003. If I'm getting the dates right. I'm not Googling this shit, whatever. But it is The Ring with Naomi Watts. And that was that's going to be one of my Halloween horror picks because that was the first movie in a long time, maybe even ever. It just gave me the chills, had me on the edge of my seat. And the person that I was on the date with at the time was also creeped out. So, you know what? Mission accomplished. You get that type of emotional reaction out of me, it's going to make that list.
I'm just going to tell you that The Ring is not the reason that they were creeped out.
Hey, the popcorn trick was supposed to work.
You'd think you cut a ring in the bottom of the popcorn. You thought it was on brand. You silly guy.
But
I remember that movie.
You don't die after 7 days because I was a very responsible, clean man.
So many things that could be said to that.
I know. Should I just edit that out? I don't know.
No. I mean, you might.
Maybe. My professional career is over now.
You can just bleep it. And then people will wonder what you said.
Exactly.
I took a little bit of a different approach when looking at Halloween movies. Too many people go right to the scariest of the scary movies for Halloween movies. And as we've talked about, I'm not a huge fan of horror movies. Like, I'll watch them, but I won't watch them in some cases because I don't feel the need to like fuck with my sleep and think about something that I know I don't give a fuck about. I'm already good. Like, I've seen some good scary movies. I love the classics like The Exorcist and, Psycho and the original Halloween. I enjoy those. But if we're going to go with my favorite movies to watch on Halloween, first one I'm going to go with is one that I watched probably, me and my wife used to watch every Halloween, and that is The Shining. Not a movie that took place on Halloween, not really any really good costumes in it, but a great suspense horror movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, that is a good pick. Yeah, so I think our first picks, they're not necessarily around the Halloween season. I'm pretty sure it was like around Christmas time or after Christmas time in The Shining, just because it was snowing. But yeah, I mean, I've seen that movie. I've been creeped out by it, and I was creeped out on the made for TV, or not made for TV, but TV edit of the movie. So yeah, I think that's a bona fide pick. Jack Nicholson. I mean, how iconic is that? With the axe through the door. Here's Johnny. Come on. How can you not? How can you not respect that movie?
It's the reason you don't stay in specific rooms in hotels. Some hotels don't even have that room number.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
When I was in college and taking like film classes, which obviously like fully supported my future career development, I despised Kubrick. It was the centering and the garbage. This is the movie that he's done that I love the most. I despise Kubrick except for this movie. This one just, it's got me. It gets me. I think it might be Nicholson's best movie. Chinatown's up there, the Cuckoo's Nest, all that. But I mean, I love it. I love seeing Shelley Duvall looking like she's been absolutely terrorized by the director and Jack Nicholson the whole time. The Red Brown Kid, it just is awesome. And the little known fact, first movie to heavily use a steady cam to give you the views of little Jack's big wheel. And let's be honest, you and I would both drive a big wheel through a hotel just for fun.
My wife is going to love when I say this, but just so you know, Mark, I didn't have that many toys when I was a kid, and I definitely did not have a big wheel, but I always wanted one. And yeah, so
I
I
didn't say
can't
you
relate.
didn't have one. I said you would ride one through a hotel today if given the opportunity. And you don't even need to answer because I know I'm right. Everybody listening to this knows I'm right.
I will disagree. I think it's because since I didn't have one, I've developed this like hate relationship with it. So funny story, like just this past weekend, I was driving to the park with the family, and those, it's almost like an adult big wheel. Like it's a bicycle, except it's lower to the ground and shit. So you're just cycling, and you're like almost like in a roller coaster seat.
That's not a big wheel.
I
That's a
know,
lame old person tricycle.
I know,
I know
but
what you're talking about.
that's my point. I was like, why would you do, like, do you feel cool doing that? I don't know. And for anyone who's listening who has one of those, just explain it to me. I just want to know.
I
Like,
think the only thing I could think of is you don't have a bike seat in your anus. That's the only thing I could think of. Because
yeah,
bike
that's
seats,
a pretty big plus, though.
bike seats have gotten smaller and smaller as I've gotten older and older. I don't know why. It's a weird concept.
If I could put a bench on my spin cycle, I totally would, because that thing just wedges right up there. So not comfortable at all.
We need to get some brackets and a nice bar stool for you. Maybe a drum saddle. We could put a drum saddle in there.
Anything as opposed to the dental floss of a bike seat that I have. It's just ridiculous.
It's trying to hit that turbo button on your taint. That's what it's
Yeah.
trying to do.
Yeah.
Zzz.
Well, speaking of turbo on the taints, I'll just go on right to my number 2.
Oh man, this it's. I didn't know Boogie Nights was a Halloween movie.
So this one actually is around the Halloween time, and one of the key scenes of the movie takes place on Devil's Night. So if that gives a clue to anybody, it is The Crow with Brandon Lee. So that is one of my favorite Halloween movies because that was a movie that I watched on repeat all the time when I was younger. And one of my buddies who listens, um, we would quote that movie over and over again, and we still do it to this day. So like we'll wish each other happy birthday or something, and like we'll drop a line like "Happy birthday, fun boy," or you know if like the hurricane was coming through, be like, "Can't rain all the time." Jeez, all right, but yeah, it's just fun stuff, and I really like that movie. It was one of my really just go-to movies in the 90s and even in the early 2000s as well. But the whole tone of the movie was great. The revenge aspect was really awesome. And it was just different because it was a hero that was acting just freaking crazy because he was dead and he wanted to get revenge for his own murder and his fiance's. And RIP Brandon Lee. Who knows? Who knows what could have been after that role because it was very well appreciated and very well acknowledged and respected by his peers. So, The Crow.
I'm glad that you both survived all of your crow quotes. I'm happy. I've never liked that movie. I don't know why. I just never have. But my number 2 movie didn't take anybody talking me into it to get me to like it. It is a 1988 classic. Not scary unless you're a little kid and you're kind of weirded out about what the hell is going on. Because I remember Beetlejuice for so many years as being that movie that like kind of you could get away with watching as a kid because it was still like PG, but it was the most like kind of weird and fucked up PG movie that I remember watching as a kid. And then they had the cartoon series and all that good stuff too. So Beetlejuice, definitely my number 2 Halloween movie. And I love that they're talking about doing another one.
I didn't know they were talking about another one. I never really like it, just like your commentary on my number 2. I never really cared for Beetlejuice. I watched it recently with my family, and yeah, I was just like, okay, Michael Keaton's like nuts in this.
I feel like if we're not talking about a Tim Burton movie around Halloween, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, he is. He is the
If
season.
if anybody screams Halloween, it's Tim Burton. And of all the Tim Burton movies, I feel like this is the most Halloween appropriate of them. Even though there's movies where people yell, "This is Halloween," but that's a fucking Christmas movie.
True, but would you consider Edward Scissorhands a Halloween movie?
I would, but I like Beetlejuice better. I feel like the comedy is a little bit better. It's not as like weird and sad, um, and just yeah, no. I find Edward Scissorhands, while entertaining, to be kind of weird and sad.
I feel like Beetlejuice is weird and funny, but I thought Edward Scissorhands was weird, funny, and yeah, sad. So I think just because it has that extra emotion, I liked it a little bit better.
It's one of
But
those things where most people, when they hear the Harry Belafonte song about the banana, they think of a tropical island getaway. No, I think of floating in the dining room and dancing at the end of Beetlejuice, and I think it's hilarious.
fair enough, fair enough, and I will respect your pick. Although wasn't a big Beetlejuice fan.
I
And
must say that the toys were awesome too.
you know what? I liked the cartoon, I didn't care for the movie. So I don't know, just strange to me. But I felt that the cartoon just had a little bit more of the humor and fun aspect of it. And I guess even watching in my adulthood, I was like, it's okay. But I don't understand the whole big deal of the movie. So, but hey,
I mean, didn't you grow up repeating Bloody Mary in the mirror and all that stuff? And the one movie they make about doing something like that is fucking Beetlejuice.
it just didn't grab me. Like I wanted a little bit more. Maybe I was just too
There weren't enough
like
murders in Beetlejuice for you, even though
maybe
there were a shitload of dead people.
it might have been like I liked action. Like
Mm.
I was a full blown red blooded, violent, craving child.
I'm well. We know.
We need to
We
see some.
know.
If Beetlejuice did kung fu and kung fu'd some motherfuckers out of a window, then hey, maybe. It just wasn't for me, I guess. On to my pick. This one might be controversial, probably more so controversial than my other two, because it is not an original. It is not necessarily a Halloween movie, but it is a scary movie. But it is, and this one, I have a little bit of a story to tell about this one. It's Paranormal Activity 3. This is my pick because I was a really big fan of those movies, and they always came out around Halloween. So they came out like on clockwork on Halloween, like the Saw movies. Saw just missed the cutoff, and Saw 2 was going to be my pick because Saw 2 had a lot more of the not scariness, but it was the biggest cringe movie that I had, and I mean that in the best possible way, where a lot of stuff can just I can watch and no problem, but Saw 2, that was like a movie that I could like really cringe because like, oh god, I can't believe they're doing that. Paranormal Activity 3. So let me give you the background about this. At the time, I believe I was single. I'm pretty sure I was single at the time. And I was a real big fan of the first two. And it was on Halloween that I wanted to go see the movie. I got out of work and no one else either could go with me or wanted to go with me, one or the other. And I decided to go see Paranormal Activity 3 by myself. And it was one of the first movies that I went to by myself. And I was the only one in the theater. No one else, no sound whatsoever. Like, not even like the ushers were coming in. So I was alone in a big empty theater watching this movie. And I'm kind of already creeped out because I got creeped out from watching the first two because I rewatched them to watch Paranormal Activity 3. So I think part of it was the ambiance of like, oh my God, this is crazy. And I'm like holding on to the armrest of my seat and I'm just like, this is kind of creepy. And as soon as the movie ended, I'm pretty sure I put up a Facebook status of like creepiest movie ever. And so, yeah, I enjoyed it.
I've never been a Paranormal Activity fan, only because I feel like I'm that person that would like sleep with the lights on for a week. And again, I like as much as I enjoy cinema, I feel like the purpose of it is to bring joy, not weeks of paranoia and poor sleep.
I think that's where our opinion differs on it.
Oh,
I think
that's where our lists differ.
with movies in general, I guess I really respect any movie that has the ability to get more out of you, to react in some way, whether it's good, bad, indifferent. Indifferent is like the failure of a movie, right? I mean, if you see a movie and it's like, well, I could not watch it ever again, don't really care, then the movie failed. It wasn't a good movie. But if you get out of there, even if you're like, oh my God, that movie was the biggest piece of shit ever, or like, oh my God, those people were so evil, or anything, it's evoking something out of you. I would rather see a movie that is like, that is the biggest piece of shit ever, as opposed to, well, That was okay.
You see, I like movies that either make me laugh, make me think, or make me feel. Those are my three. Like that's where I'm at. And feel can be nostalgia, it can be happiness, it can be sadness. I'm not big on like, please scare me senseless. That's what I'd like. I'd like to look around the corners in the dark all the fucking time. Like I'm just not that guy. Never have been.
Okay.
Never have been. I'll tell
I
you. I'll tell you a story. Scariest part of The Exorcist for me, and you'll laugh at this, but I would guess that any listeners that have seen this movie, I got to see it in the theater when they re-released it for like a month in the '90s or the early 2000s. Went with a group of people to see it in the theater, and the one moment in the movie where the popcorn flew because I just jumped super, and it's easy to get me to jump, man. It is so easy. My wife thinks it's hilarious how easy it is to get me to jump. But there's this there's this point in the movie where they go through the first stanza of her possession and they try and do the first level of exorcism and everybody's tired and they're all sitting around and it gets quiet and it gets quiet and phone rings. And I almost went like my popcorn almost went flying at that point. And it's so ridiculous. But that's one of those movies that gave me like just a good clean level of scare because I wasn't like, oh shit, am I going to get raised above the sheets because of this weird fucking paranormal shit? Like I'm good on the ghost shows. I'm good on all that.
Okay. So is your wife into scary movies or no?
Not into scary movies, but she loves the fucking ghost shows. She's like, how do you not know about the Bachelor Cemetery or whatever the fuck that's called? And I'm like, I mean, I've heard of it, but I don't know anything intelligent to say about it. And I could be just bullshitting that I've heard of it. But I haven't watched a million documentaries on how it's haunted like she has and watched that fucking stupid as shit Ghost Hunters show.
So
P.S. Worst thing to watch on Halloween that's not a fucking movie or any other day of the year. Ghost Hunters.
so the reason why, she watches those shows and she's not scared because they're not scary. So my son actually asked about like, oh, there's a Ghost Hunters show. It's like, buddy, it's really not that scary. Basically, it's a bunch of guys that sit in a room and they hear a door creak and they say, oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? If you can hear us, let it be known. And then nothing happens. And then they go back and watch video and they say, wow, that was crazy. That was really strange. So,
I think you've captured at least 3 different ghost hunting shows in that explanation.
yeah. I mean, they're not scary. It's just like you're on the edge of your seat because like what kind of shit are you going to come up with next? Believe me, I would pay money. I would pay a ticket, an entrance fee to go into one of those shows or into one of those places to be in the dark of a prison with like a cell phone and a camera or night vision camera and just fixated on me because I want to feel scared. I want to feel alive. I want to know if there's something out there. Is there? Who knows? But I'm sure as shit not going to say, if you're in the room, let your presence be known. And then just be like, oh, that was weird. That was weird. Did you say your number one?
No.
Oh,
no. We've talked about my number one though. We've talked about my number one at length, and I made you watch it.
Yeah.
But my absolute favorite movie to go and watch on the day of Halloween is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. No better late Halloween activity than the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
So yeah, interesting because I never thought of that as being a Halloween movie. Is it a Halloween themed type of thing where they just do that?
So there are some theaters that do it every Saturday. At least there used to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if COVID killed it all off.
Like after, yeah. Exactly.
I think that the ones in Chicago that used to do it have picked it up a little bit, but I guarantee there will be more live showings of Rocky Horror on Halloween or for a Halloween weekend than any other day of the year, because people dress up as the characters and go to the showing. Like, it is nuts. There's a whole, we talked about this a little bit. There's props, prop kits that they'll give you, and different audience participation that's been built into it. Like, it's an experience. And, there's that point in your life where you're trick-or-treating. There's that point in your life when you're going to the bar in some terrible costume, or you're going to some, college party. And then there's the time when you're like not quite ready, when you like pre-kids, post, you're basically wifed up, and that is by far my favorite wifed up activity on Halloween.
Okay. Are you doing it this year?
It hasn't even come up, but I don't think so.
Some favorite activity.
So. I haven't done it in a while. I haven't done it since.
Really justifies being your favorite activity then.
It is the one I've got some of the best memories of. So much fun.
I'm sure. It's just, isn't it funny though? It's like, oh, it's my favorite thing to do. Like, I haven't done it in a while. I go back and forth.
In the year 2022, a lot of people would say that about a lot of things. Like, you're gutting me on something that, like, what's your favorite thing? Oh, travel. How's that been going?
People travel, man.
Now they do.
Okay, let me ask you, when's the last time you did it?
I want to say 2019.
Oh, okay.
Either 18 or 19. 18 or 19.
You made it seem like, oh, I haven't done it in a while. Like, I picture
that's 5. That's almost 5 years. Your son was 3.
That's 3 years. 2019 is 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
All right, everyone who's listening, please let's get Mark some math tutoring, and you can send all of your support to the ICDT All Day podcast.
I'll tell you this, to all the listeners who really care and would do that. I guarantee you can send all of your money and it won't help. I'm aware of my shortcomings, and math is it.
You just made it sound like, oh, it's been like 8 years. That's what I was thinking. It's like, oh, it's been a while. Like, 3 years isn't that bad, man.
Well, I think it was 18.
4. Okay. Still not horrible.
My wife would know. I'm terrible.
You have to know too, like, there's 2 years, or well, even 3 years, COVID just kind of are wiped off the record. Those don't count towards affecting plans. So it's still justified. But so we talked about our list of our favorites. Break me off some of that big piece of shit Halloween movie that you just think is the worst.
I'm torn here, but by sequels. All right.
Okay.
I'm torn between 2 sequels, both from the early 2000, late 90s period. And it's either the second Urban Legends movie, which was just terrible, or the second I Know What You Did Last Summer movie. Those were so bad. And they were so hyped up to be like the next Halloween movie, the next like killer movie, and they're just not good. I specifically remember the Jennifer Love Hewitt one getting a ton of attention, and it was like, but that guy is dead and he's not Michael Myers. What the fuck's going on? Huh? Because Scream was so popular, and they were just like, oh, we could just churn out number 2, like Final Destination 7. It's fine.
I was thinking about picking Scary Movie, but I actually like that movie.
Yeah,
it's a great movie, and the second one was fantastic as well. Can't speak about 3, 4, 5, but I would say that the worst Halloween movie, it's not because it really is that bad, because it's geared towards kids, and it was starring one of my favorite characters when I was little. So I hate to say that it's the worst Halloween movie.
I know what you're gonna say, I think.
but it's the reason why it's the worst is my son at the time watched it almost every day for like 3 months straight, no joke, every day. And that movie is Ernest Scared Stupid.
Oh, it's so good, Vern.
I really liked Ernest as a character when I was younger. I believe I went to go see Ernest Goes to Camp in theaters, and I just really liked the TV show also. But yeah, Ernest Scared Stupid was just a very stupid premise, but not so far off that I would almost say it might be slightly better than Hocus Pocus, the first one.
I don't disagree. For those of you who don't know who Ernest is, he is the Larry the Cable Guy of Pee Wee Herman's of the 80s. Like he was like a Larry the Cable Guy if he ate paint chips and wore a denim vest all the time. He was so funny. Jim Varney. Oh my.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that Ernest got added to this list. It's so bad it's good.
I would say that's a accurate statement.
I almost want to change my pick to Casper because that's another it's so bad it's good movie.
Oof. So we talked about our movie lists. I think it's time to give the listeners and viewers a few treats with some sweets. It's time for the candy draft, ladies and gentlemen. So the format is going to be there cannot be any repeats, and we're going to put a poll up to see whose candy team is better, the overall team. And so we're going to have 5 candy picks, and then also we're going to talk about like the worst Halloween candy too. But do you want the worst Halloween candy to be a part of the team, like the collective, or do you just want to bitch about some candy?
I will not be drafting the worst Halloween candy.
All right, so let's break off the Halloween candy draft, and Mark, you can have the honors of first pick.
You're gonna give me the first pick in the candy draft?
I will give you the first pick.
I feel like that's very gentlemanly of you, and I'll take the first pick. And the first pick in the Halloween candy draft is Reese's Pumpkins.
Reese's Pumpkins, so specific, huh?
I didn't know how you'd want to. We didn't do any discussions on this beforehand.
That's okay. So
we came in blind, so I didn't know if you wanted to just claim peanut butter Reese's treats, not Pieces, but full Reese's, or if you wanted to go specific Reese's things, which pumpkins by far beat cups for Halloween.
So,
pumpkins way better than trees due to the ratio.
Okay, cool. So Reese's was on my list also. So I'm gonna have to go with some more chocolatey goodness, and it's really gonna satisfy you. We're going with Snickers, bitch. Snickers, first pick. Got it.
Oof. That's a solid number 2. I feel like my list of riches is still fully intact though, because I knew Snickers would get picked. So I'm gonna go with it's like, do you go with popularity or do you go with completeness in your list? But
good discussion there. I kind of went a little bit of, if I can do this, depending on what you pick, I kind of want to be well-rounded. But
I do too.
But hey,
I do too. But let's be honest, nobody's gonna lay a finger on my list, and that's why Butterfinger is gonna be my second pick.
Ooh, you know what, man? If you asked me about my dream team of candy list about 10 years ago, Butterfinger would be on there. It has dropped off. I think it's just my adult teeth just don't like the whatever the fuck you want to call that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not peanut butter.
Yeah. It's crispity crunchity peanut buttery goodness.
Yeah. But I do like some Butterfinger, and I do remember very fond memories of just chowing down on Butterfingers. So solid pick. I like it. I did not put that on my list, but
It's shocking.
I am going to go. I've got the chocolatey goodness, but I'm going to change it up a little bit, and I'm going to go with Skittles. The WildBerry Skittles is what I wanted to
Ooh.
pick. So the purple package of Skittles, which in my opinion, far superior for Skittles. So not only do I have chocolatey, nutty goodness, but I have some explode in your mouth fruity flavor. How's that for some double entendre?
I mean, there's a lot going on in your mouth, Dan, and we all just heard about it. Um, so you got to recap. I've got Reese's and I've got Butterfinger, and Dan has Snickers and Skittles. Can he complete the 5 S's of his candy list?
Ooh.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to hold him up from the S's with my third pick. I will pick a candy that is very diverse, has many different flavors and options, especially globally. Many special releases. A favorite of many markets, and that's going to be Kit Kat.
Yeah.
Break me off a piece of that.
Yeah. That's a very solid pick. And I do enjoy me some Kit Kat. And you know what though? There is a difference between American Kit Kats compared to European Kit Kats.
Compared
So
to Canadian Kit Kats, compared to Japanese Kit Kats, which, if we were being specific, I would draft all the Kit Kats in Japan. Mochi Kit Kats, the weird berry ones, like
yes.
all that guilty pleasure of mine. Whenever we drink around the world at Epcot, no matter which direction we start from, I'm good and tatered, or at least got a little buzz going by the time we go to Japan. And I always grab my sake bomb and walk on back to the candy store in Epcot there, where they have a bunch of rando Kit Kats.
Let's be clear though that those Kit Kats are not on your list. It's
Kit Kats in general.
Oh, come on.
Just like you got all of the Skittles.
No,
and
I
you've
said
got all the
WildBerry Skittles. WildBerry Skittles. That was my
man.
pick. You cannot pick an entire fucking world of Kit Kats. And plus, how many of those people are giving those out on Halloween?
It depends on the neighborhood you live in, my friend.
I think that's a ludicrous pick that you
Or
would
that's
assume.
A smart pick.
No, it's number one, unfair. You cannot
You get
pick
tropical Skittles and regular Skittles.
I said
and sour Skittles.
WildBerry Skittles.
Okay.
That was my pick.
I'll still take regular Kit Kats because they're delicious.
You should. You have to, because you can't fucking pick the entire world a Kit Kat.
Oh,
so
man. I don't think you understand how I draft.
Well, yeah, that's a big mistake, because you just drafted a player that's not on the market. That's what you just did right there.
I don't know about that.
I agree that Otherworld Kit Kats is fantastic, but yeah. Regular Kit Kats still good. My wife's favorite, but all right. So I've got some chocolatey goodness. I've got an explosion of rainbow powered flavor. I think I'm gonna have to continue with Starburst. And I'm gonna go with this might be
You gonna go with the only reds?
I was thinking about it. I was really thinking about it. It was between that and tropical, but I'm going with my gut, and I'm gonna go with reds, because everyone loves the reds. You know what the worst part of Halloween is when you get a Starburst 2-pack, you open that up, and it's got 2 yellows.
I like yellows.
The worst, but it's the worst. It is the worst of the flavors.
I do enjoy some yellows.
I don't mind it, but it's the worst. Let's be honest.
No, I like the yellows.
You can like them. It's just the worst flavor out of all of them.
Mm.
Just like I like lime flavored Skittles, but it's the worst flavor out of all of them.
I will let you have that feeling. It's very justified for you. So I've got the trifecta of chocolatey goodness. And you keep picking all of the chewies out there. So I am going to I'm between two things. I'm going to go with something I enjoyed in my youth, and then I will follow up with something with my fifth pick. But something I enjoyed in my youth, some Sour Patch Kids.
Really? So you had a lot of those trick or treating?
You
Keep
get
in
them in
mind,
like the little packs.
Yeah, so you had a lot of those? I didn't. I feel like those didn't become popular until like we were out of high school. I didn't even think they were around when we were trick or treating.
I mean, I got a gamut of many things. I trick or treated in a couple different neighborhoods back in the day.
Sure. So did I. I would like target specific neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And we would do repeats on some of the houses that had like baseball cards. And it was like, okay, we're gonna go back there. You take my mask, I'll take yours, and then we're gonna get more baseball card packs. Then we'd go back and open them up. But
we'll talk about the worst thing you got trick or treating in a minute.
Yeah.
But apparently you were really stoked on baseball cards.
Well, I was trick or treating with a bunch of people that they were fucking really into it. And needless to say, it was the last time I went trick or treating with that one particular kid because of like, you have such a hard on for baseball cards. And yeah, I feel like it was not Halloween. Like he started talking about Mike Piazza. I got a Mike Piazza card. Okay, cool, dude. You got any Butterfingers? Like, yeah. All right, so you got Sour Patch Kids, which are solid, and I actually enjoy those in my adulthood. I think I'm gonna have to go back to chocolatey goodness, but this time I'm going with a slight twist because sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't, but it's not what you think. So I'm gonna go with Milky Way. You got all the good stuff, the ooey gooey caramel. You got the chocolatey nougat as opposed to just the regular nougat in the Snickers. And you've got the similar chocolate outer layer of Snickers. So all of that ooey gooey goodness, chocolate. Let's go, diabetes.
I also am going to go chocolate with a twist, with a real twist, with a Chicago twist. I am going for the thing that used to show up more often than anything in your Halloween bag if you trick or treated on the South Side, and that would be Tootsie Rolls.
Oh God!
I love me some Tootsie Rolls, more specifically, but they don't release them anymore, so I'm not going to take them because people can't get them. I enjoyed the vanilla.
Those are
vanilla.
still around. So, okay,
if you find them, send them to me.
So wait a second. You are talking about the classic chocolate.
I am going classic because that's what you got on Halloween. They released the special ones for like Easter and shit, but I love me some Tootsie Rolls.
So they still have the vanilla. So and okay,
but they have it for like Easter.
No, they've got them for Halloween. So this is not my pick. It was on my list of some of the picks, but I feel like now I can just fucking pick whatever else because you just pick Tootsie Rolls. So,
dude, I love me some Tootsie Rolls.
Some of my favorites were the cherry and the orange and the lime Tootsie Rolls. Those are so good.
The multi-pack was the best. When you got a handful of them and they were all the different colors, that was my favorite.
Yeah.
But in the multi-pack back in the day was the original midget ones too. You usually get like a gaggle of Tootsie Rolls by the end. But I was a big Tootsie Roll fan. Tootsie Roll fan. And just so you know, my 5 was a very hard decision between Tootsie Rolls and gummy bears. But I feel like we didn't get a lot of gummy bears as kids.
We didn't.
We got a shitload of Tootsie Rolls though, and I loved them.
Yeah.
We got shit like Dots, which like if you need a tooth extraction, go eat some Dots.
That was one of my favorites.
Oh.
I still love Dots. But I will say there's a problem with consistency for Dots. Some of them are like super tender, chewy, and then some of them are hard to chew.
Some of them pull your fucking teeth out.
Yeah. But all right.
You got one more pick though.
I do. So I have WildBerry, Skittles, Starburst, and Snickers. And so I got
Milky
two more
Way.
picks.
You have Milky Way
I
as
have
well.
Milky Way. So I got
so
one more.
This is your
pick.
the final countdown.
All right.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
So I've got two pieces of chocolatey goodness. I've got the hard shell fruity flavored candy with the Skittles. And then also just that nice burst of flavor in your mouth. And by the way, those commercials are freaking amazing still to this day. The Starburst commercials.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Nerds. There's nothing better than changing it up after gobbling down some chocolate, gobbling down some Starburst and Skittles, and like, you know what? I need to change of pace. And it's almost like soda in hard candy form. It's so good.
No, it's not. No, it's
so
not.
good.
No, I'd go Pop Rocks over Nerds, or
you don't get Pop Rocks really for
over Nerds. You got Spree. We used to get the little 2 packs of Spree, bro.
You got Spree, but you never got Pop Rocks as a kid. Like maybe like one person that worked for Pop Rocks.
Yeah,
but that was not a common candy. But yeah, Nerds, absolutely. Strawberry, grape, whatever. Just give me them all. They're really, really good. And it's just a nice change of pace for candy. So yeah, it's a nice little shot of goodness too. You open up the little square package or rectangular package, pop it like a shot. You're a man on Halloween.
I'm sure you are.
You're a man on Halloween doing that.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you say that to your wife. Oh man, I ate these Nerds. We talked about all these good ones. We had a little bit back and forth, but there's some really bad Halloween candies out there. Like bad. What's the Halloween candy that when you see it, it just brings back shuddery, terrible ew to you?
I'll tell you what it is. We already talked about it. It's on your list.
Oh man.
Tootsie Rolls.
Tootsie Rolls are by far not the worst Halloween candy. How can you say that in a world where good and plenty exists? Where fucking those little black and orange peanut butter toffee
peanut butter
things
kisses
exist?
Are okay. They're not the best.
No, they're not.
They're not the best. They're certainly not anywhere near my list.
Unacceptable. Candy corn is alive in your world.
Candy corn's good.
Candy corn is nowhere near as tasty as a Tootsie Roll. But I'll tell you what my least favorite is then. You've got Tootsie Rolls on yours. Mine are circus peanuts.
We didn't really get a whole... Well, I got a little bit of that.
I had a parent who bought the shit out of circus peanuts.
Oh.
And thankfully I could give her all the ones that I got because they are neither nutty nor circusy. They're like flavorless garbage foam.
Yeah,
circus peanuts are trash.
Never was a big. I can agree with that, but they're not that common anymore, are they?
They were when we were trick or treating, Dan. We're old.
I guess.
We're old.
But yeah, Tootsie Rolls, like most of like the kids that I would go trick or treating with, peanut butter kisses and Tootsie Rolls were the ones that they would just like throw people. Or you know what I still do to this day, by the way, my kids go out trick or treating, we come back, empty their sacks, and then like, oh, let's just get those Tootsie Rolls, and then that's what we hand out to people for Halloween candy, because who gives a shit about what are they? What are they?
They're corn syrupy chocolatey goodness.
I don't think there's an ounce or a drop of chocolate in that flavoring, because it does not
brown number 2. I don't know, but they're wonderful. They're wonderful.
Gosh.
There's so many shapes and flavors and all of the happiness. And what better commercial than the Tootsie Pop commercial, which was spawned because there's a Tootsie Roll in the middle.
So that was one of my picks. In case you got some of my other picks, I was going to pick a Tootsie Pop specifically. I mean, it could have been any of them, but red, orange, or the blue. So good.
Oh,
Awesome.
the brown one was the best one.
Ugh, God.
The
That was the
brown one was
one
the best one.
I would save that for last. That was the desperation candy where if like I needed a sugar fix, like, oh fuck, I guess I'll eat this.
Mm-mm. No, man. The brown one. It was the Tootsie Roll flavored Tootsie Pop. Oh my gosh.
God. Who would want a chocolate flavored sucker? Ugh. Gross. Gross.
You probably liked the wax cola bottles or something.
I hated
like
those. I didn't
chew it on-
understand those. I
Could
never
you chew
understood
it on
those.
wax? How dumb was that?
I never like why? What's the and you don't even chew on the wax. Like I don't you're not supposed to, right? You're supposed to like bite it off and then suck it. Is that what you're
That's what
supposed to
she
do?
said
I
on
just
Halloween.
uh,
I don't know, man. I don't know. But I mean, I thoroughly disagree with your negative pick. I think that there could have been way worse things. Smarties.
Smarties
So
are
many.
okay in
No, they're not.
doses.
They're not as good as Tootsie Rolls.
Ugh. I'm sorry. I almost threw up in my mouth right there
Oh,
because you said
man.
Tootsie Rolls again.
Oh, somebody's getting a care package to their house
Oh
full
man.
of Tootie goodness.
Well, great. So I'll have candy to hand
It'll
out.
be there. It'll be there on November 1st.
Exactly. So speaking of trick or treating, what any favorite trick or treating moments, whether it's in childhood or adulthood?
I just remember being able to roam the neighborhood where I feel like kids now can't anymore. Like it's so regimented and timed. When I first heard about that, when I moved out to because we both grew up, fairly, I don't know, in a place enough where you could run around the neighborhood, nobody gave a shit.
Yeah. When school was out, it
was
on.
on.
Yeah.
On the way home from school and then immediately out and immediately back. How many pillowcases can I fill up? Let's go. Don't give me that little bullshit pumpkin. It don't hold enough. Fuck that.
People are running from door to door
Oh.
now. It's really weird. In my neighborhood, it's actually pretty popular in my neighborhood now. So like before I moved out of Chicagoland area, out from Tinley Park, I think I maybe for the last 2 years, I saw a total of 10 people over the course of 2 years. And moving into Florida, we went out and coming back on Halloween for our first Halloween, we went out to like a pumpkin festival or something, came back to our subdivision, and there were droves of kids from young to adolescent teenagers. I was like, holy sh! And they're like just mobs of people. And so I was thinking like, I don't want to answer the door because I don't think we have enough candy for people. So I parked down the street because that like people were like driving and there's so many people. And so I told my wife and kids like, all right, go back through the fence and go through the back door because we can't, and like we'll go upstairs because we don't have enough candy for all these people. Like I'd feel really bad. And so we just did that. So our next year we were prepared, but there's so many more kids now. But now you don't even go up to a house if there's like, before I would just go up to every door, ring it, whatever, right? If they're not there within 10 seconds, sprint to the next house. Now it's like, it's more strategic. It's like, oh, they play the odds. Oh, that one has a light on, but there's no Halloween decorations. I'm going to go to the next house anyways. Or I'm going to go to the people that are sitting in their driveway or in their front door to Halloween, to trick or treat. Is that the same thing now out by you? Like,
see,
what's the deal?
I it used to be when we lived in Lockport, it was kind of like that, but I at that point was like, let's just disconnect the doorbell and go watch a movie, because I didn't care at all.
Yeah, no shame.
Or we'd go out on purpose.
Yeah.
And now I live on a dead end, and it's not a close dead end. Like
Oh,
I'm the last house down a ways, and like you have to backtrack to get back, and there's maybe 5 houses down my entire block.
so people aren't going down your
So
street.
I don't see anybody. When I want to see trick or treaters at some point, when my son's out or whatever, like when he gets to that age, I'll put a fire pit at the end of my driveway, light a little fire, have a couple beers, and hand out candy. I'll do it when my kid's doing it. Like I have no problem. I'm not like bah humbug with Halloween, but I picked the perfect house where people just don't fuck with me, and it's great.
Okay.
Um, but I mean, it's so different than it used to be.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because we grew up in the burbs where houses were closer together and just the population density was more. Like lots were not as big. People, you could go from one stoop to the next stoop in 10 seconds and you could be going.
Yeah.
Um, and your parent, you'd have the energy to keep going, and your parents would like it was okay that you went out by yourself.
Yeah.
Now it's not, and they have curfews. I don't
Yeah.
remember curfews. That was the
Yeah.
one night where like you could like bribe your way into staying out past the street lights if you had the candy your parents liked.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So, one thing that I think is a whole lot different now is there's so many more Halloween events, and pre-Halloween events for trick-or-treating opportunities for kids. So for example, like my kids went to so many different trunk or treats, which I had no idea what the hell that was
That
until
sounds like
recently.
a kidnapping.
Well, so wait a second, you don't know what a trunk or treat is?
I do not know what a trunk or treat is.
Basically, it's like trick or treating in like a church parking lot or like a school where all like people hand out candy there as opposed to their houses. But it happens like the weeks leading up to Halloween or sometimes the on Halloween itself. So we hit up maybe 3 or 4 different trunk or treats. Man, sometimes I think last year we hit up 6 or 7, and we dressed up as a family too. So we did, a few different family themed costumes, and then a couple that the kids just dressed up as, and we just hung back and just relaxed. Well, we're still festive, but yeah, I think there's a lot more opportunities so people don't feel the need to trick or treat on Halloween because they've done it like a few days before, a few weeks before.
The legendarily bad trick or treat giveaway of one Feeney. If you ever watched Boy Meets World, we're in
I
an early
did, but
season.
I don't remember that.
He was giving away rulers. That
Yeah.
by far worst Halloween giveaway.
So one of the worst Halloween giveaways happened to be the best Halloween giveaway for me. So I remember, I believe I was in 3rd grade, dressed up as a pirate. I went out right when school was let out, or actually right when my brother got home from school, so that way he could take me. And knocked on, I think maybe four doors later into my trip. I knocked on a house on my block, and a guy answered, and he's like, oh, hold on. And so I was like, what's this about? Comes back with a Twinkie. He's like, here. And so he must have not realized it was Halloween. And he was just like, oh shit, I got to give this kid in a plastic pirate costume something because I answered the door like an idiot. So I got him a Twinkie. So, hey, you know what?
That's a
I actually
win.
liked it. Twinkie's good.
That's a
It was,
win.
yeah, yeah. But I did feel bad for the guy because it's like, oh man, he definitely didn't know
I
what
just
day it
ate your
was.
Twinkie.
Yeah. But
Oh,
worst
man.
worst thing that I ever got, but also the best thing.
That's awesome.
You know what? I think we could probably wrap this up. Anything else that you want to talk about for trick or treating?
Well, of all of the cosplays that I've seen, you do. I've got to wonder what your favorite Halloween costume of all time is.
Um, it's funny because it has to be from my adulthood. Because I did not really have the best costumes when I was younger. There was a couple that my mom. I don't even think it was my mom. It was like my grandma that homemade it. She did a homemade hobo costume, which was fine. It was okay, whatever. But it has to be. I think because I go by the reactions from people. Like I feel good when I get reactions from kids and other parents. It's like, oh, great! I love the way that you're all dressed up. So I think there's two. So one of them was I was Zombie Captain America, and that one was really cool because there were some like really scared reactions from kids as I was walking up to them. And so they clutched on to their parents. It's like, yes, yes, this is how Halloween should be. You should be scared.
You have a nightmare, child.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't want kids to be scared, but it's like, oh, okay, cool. It looks good. It must be good because they have that type of reaction, which is awesome. Because I remember one kid was like, "Oh, it's Captain America," because I had my shield on my back. I turned around and my face was zombified. He's like, "Ah," it's like, "Oh, it's okay, buddy. It's all right. Just makeup." And it was cool. So there was that costume, and then it kind of tied with my and I did this again for Tampa Bay Comic Con. We did the WandaVision Halloween family theme. So my wife had the classic or comic accurate Scarlet Witch. I was the comic book Vision, and then our kids were the boys from the show, which was really cool. And we got so many compliments, and we loved it. So many uh, really just like awesome people like screaming from across the street and down the block like Vision, Wanda. Like that's cool, it makes trick-or-treating fun again. And my boys love it too because they're like, everyone thinks that like, oh my god, you have the coolest parents in the world, you're all dressed up as a family, and they enjoy it. I'm glad that they have fun trick-or-treating as a family, and I get to partake in some things that I didn't get to partake in when I was a kid.
That is pretty awesome.
What about you, man? What any costumes?
I mean, there was the arbitrary Luke Skywalker costume, the all black Empire or Return of the Jedi
That's
Luke
awesome. That's
Skywalker,
cool.
right? One glove, looking like Michael Jackson. Um, I remember as a kid, I was so excited to dress up as Freddy Krueger, having not seen Nightmare on Elm Street, but I did like face paint, and it was one of those where like you would go to school in your costume, and I freaked a bunch of people out. It was fun. But I think the costume that I got the most mileage on was something I picked up during my college years that I used repetitively, and that was the smartest purchase I ever made because I got so much mileage out of it. And I think I gave it to my sister, and she still has it. But it was one of the first like inflatable Halloween costumes, the
Mm.
ones that like you just hit a fan and you go. And it was like a sumo dude with a
Oh, nice.
with a big old like thong fan. And like you used to have to put effort into dressing up for Halloween parties, dude. Like t-shirt, comfy shorts, and the sumo thing, and I'm out. And literally put it on outside the party and turn on the fan, and you're good. And you're
Nice.
good. And what do you got to remember? My little crumpled up sumo thing. It's fine. It's fine.
You just reminded me of a couple things because you had said like, oh, we got a few years out of this, got some good mileage. There were two costumes from college. So I'll talk about the I am the part-time Avenger, but I'll talk about the non comic costumes. And one of them was you remember trolls when you were growing up, like
With
like
the
the
big
pink
hair.
haired,
Yeah.
some had like the gems in their belly buttons or whatever. So I was going to a college party and I had no idea what to do. And so I went to a Walgreens and I saw some green makeup and like the troll paper mask, and it had the pink hair and everything. I was like, oh fuck. All right, I'll be a troll. So I slathered green makeup all over my body, every inch. And so I had no shirt on, just a pair of yellow boxers with like some type of like freaking design on them, and I had the little paper mask on. And so I went to this college party, and it was a good time and everything. But I drove home that night from college back to my parents' house, and a lot of compliments on the costume. Was really great, and a few scared kid moments where I would, they saw me and they like just freaked out. But I totally regret doing it because I got green paints and green makeup all over the seats in my car, and I had to take a shower for like 50 minutes to get it all off. And I got home around like 3 a.m. in the morning, and my parents were like, "What the fuck is going on? Why are you taking a shower at 3 a.m. in the morning?" So I was like, "Oh, they probably thought like something else." And no, I was just like trying to get green makeup off of me. So it wasn't like trying to wash off the stank from whatever I got up to the night before. It was just all makeup related. And I'm like, I'm a big loser. This is like all just trying to get makeup, and why the shower was all green. So yeah.
Man. Oh, that seems like a bad Halloween prank you played on yourself.
It was a good costume. Like I enjoyed it, but at the same time, it was not worth the hassle. And still now, like anything to do with makeup, like when I do the Vision costume and I paint my face red, last year for Halloween, on the last day of Halloween, I was like, I'm so glad that we're done with Halloween because I can't wash this red makeup and shit off my face anymore. It's like it's exhausting to get dressed up, take off all the makeup and scrub your face and whatever body part that you put makeup on. It's awful.
Thus the reasoning that the inflatable sumo costume lives on as the best. And as a sizable guy, I feel like it's even funnier that I went as a fatter person. Like just what do you think? Where's your mind going? Nope, completely different direction. That's a great costume. That's a solid costume. That's solid. Speaking of pranks, I gotta ask: worst Halloween prank you've ever heard of or seen done?
I don't think I ever really witnessed anything like really horrendous. I did partake in some pumpkin smashing, not because I wanted to, but because the people that I was with were like, "I'm gonna break this pumpkin." I was like, "Okay, I guess this is cool. I guess sure, I'll do it."
Have
So
you
it's peer
TP'd a
pressure.
house at least?
What's that?
Have you TP'd a house?
Yeah, not on Halloween. Like that's like
Oh,
prime time to get caught. Like what kind of dumbass does it on Halloween? So
so the worst. I'll tell you a story, and this is like the more I've shared this, the more heinous people think. Like, not I am because I didn't partake in it, but I ran across some people who were going to do it to somebody, and it was a targeted attack. But some people I went to grammar school with, right? Which is not people that are your friends, just people that you know. Were walking the other way as I'm like, hitting up the trick-or-treating action, right? Those last few years where you're like, I don't know how many more years I can do this, but I'm just going to go get a bag full of candy. They're walking the other way, and they've got a hood off of like the zipper, the hoodies that you could zip off of the hood you could zip off a hoodie, like back in the day.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, what are you guys doing with a hood? And they showed me a bottle of Nair. And apparently they filled the hood with Nair and put it on somebody's head.
Oh, fuck.
All I saw was the aftermath, and it was bad.
Really, though? I mean, it takes a long time for that shit to...
How are you getting Nair off your head in the middle of the neighborhood?
I mean, if that...
How long is it going to take you to get home to wash it off your head?
True. So what did that person do? What did they look like at school the next day? Or
I mean, they had buzzed it, and there were some bald spots.
Wow.
Yeah, it was it looked like somebody took a close guard to that shit. But it definitely, like, because I knew what was, like, you know how it is, like, you hear about it. But yeah, there was fucking some spotty buzz going on.
That sucks.
Yeah. I don't even remember what happened to those kids from that. Like,
did they get in trouble, like school-wise?
I don't remember that so long ago. I just remember hood of Nair.
That
like, who the fuck, who before high school thinks of that shit?
Very true. But hey, times are changing, but one thing that doesn't change is our enthusiasm for movies, candy, and just the fun times of each types of holidays. So, no, I think this was a fun episode. Anything that you want to say to
I
cap off
want
for the Halloween?
to demand that any listeners that have decided to play this as they are walking their kitties around to trick or treat, demand that they do a shot or a chug of the beverage that they've decided to bring with them, or if not, it's time to go in that kid's Halloween bag and man up like your boy here and do your shot of nerds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So happy Halloween, everyone. We hope you have a fantastic Halloween and eat all the candy. You know what? You're adults, most of you. And if you're not, screw it. Eat all the candy anyway.
Mhm.
And tune in to our next episode. But thanks again, everyone. Stay in the part-time Avenger. That's Mark the Resident Jedi.
Don't spend too much time checking your kids' candy. Drug dealers don't give that shit away for free. It's expensive. Don't forget to vote for our candy drafts. You can do so on Twitter at ICDT All Day and on Instagram at I Can Do This All Day Podcast. Hit us up. Let us know if we missed a candy, if you're offended, if you think I should get all the Kit Kats because I picked Kit Kats. Like, what's up? Let us know. Let us hear from you.
Be safe, everyone. We'll see you next time.